welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I am knitting. Not right now, but most of the time. And I have been knitting, so I'm going to tell you all about it. Today's video is episode 59 of my weekly podcast series, which is a series where I talk to you about the things I've been making, the yarn I've been buying, the patterns I've been thinking about, and just my general shenanigans and what I've been getting up to over the course of the week prior. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future podcast episodes. Hello. Hi. How are you? I hope you're doing better than I am today because I am in a foul mood. It's true. Here's the deal. I didn't plan to talk about this, but I'm just going to because it is what I'm experiencing right now, and maybe you're also experiencing it. But I am just annoyed with so many things. I am annoyed that I don't have the summer wardrobe that I would like to have in my hand knit portfolio. Like, I have so many worsted weight sweaters and colorwork yoke sweaters, and not as many as I want, but I have warmer cardigans, and I just don't have the knits that I would want to have for a summer wardrobe. And the reason that this is in just sharp focus today for me is I started planning my packing list for Flock. So this coming weekend, Flock Fiber Festival is taking place in Seattle, Washington, and I'm going to be there. And I just became more and more pissed off with myself today because why don't I have fingering weight tops? Why don't I have more summer knits? Why don't I have more warm weather garments in my handmade portfolio? I live in the deep south of the United States of America. I live in a subtropical climate, and apparently I also live in a state of delusion because why have I not spent all this time making summer garments? I guess normally it doesn't matter because I don't have to wear a knit every day, but when I'm going to a fiber festival, I feel compelled to wear knits as much as possible, and I just find that my available knits are not rising to the occasion of a summer fiber festival. And then this led me down a rabbit trail of, being frustrated with certain parts of my body and not liking how they look in certain clothes, and it's just like the juggling act of picking outfits that are weather appropriate and also that I feel comfortable in and that don't make me feel just unhappy with myself and my physical appearance. Listen, I'm not under the impression that I am like the spokesperson for body positivity. However, I do routinely get messages and comments from people saying that like how I talk about my body and how I, am at ease with my body, or how people perceive me to be at ease with my body, helps them be at ease with their body, which is like, I'm choosing to take those messages in the spirit they're given, which I think is complimentary, but also sometimes I just get down in the dumps about how I feel about myself and how I feel about my looks. So anyway, I'm dealing with that today, and it's just, teeing me off, getting me a little TO'd with myself. All of these things, in the grand scheme of things, they don't matter. It doesn't matter what my body looks like, but also sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, disgusting. Okay? And I feel this is just reality. Some days I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow, get a fire extinguisher because I look smoking hot. And other days I look and I think, where did Shrek come from? How did he get in my house? And why is he staring back at me in this mirror? There are good days and bad days, and today I'm just having a bad body day, I guess. I don't know. I hope this is not horrible to say, but it's just the reality that I'm living in today, and it's making me kind of grumpy. So, with that said, let's get going into today's podcast. I'm going to be talking about some flock things and some non-flock things, and it's just we'll just get started. Okay, so let's start with project updates. This episode covers my making progress from July 28th through yesterday, August 3rd. Okay, so project updates. The first project to update you on is my flock bag charm. I showed you my rat in progress last week, and this week it's a complete rat with some extra accessories. So here is the rat. She does not have a name. Maybe you can suggest some names. Look at her details. I added little embroidery floss hair bows, or I guess ear bows in her case. I added some eyes, and then I was like, okay, let's go through the series of events. I made the rat. I finished the rat. I made an I-cord using, I can't remember what I did. On one of these, I made the I-cord with the Cordsmith, and on the other one, I made the I-cord with the I-cord maker from La Bien-Aimée. Because if you remember, I'm trying out all the different I-cords as much as I reasonably can to compare and see which I like best. Anyway, I made the rat first, and then I thought, I don't want it just to be by itself, so I made this cute little heart keychain or charm. So cute. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I had these both affixed to my Flock Fiber Festival tote bag. Backstory on this, if you didn't watch last week, I wanted a way to customize my tote bag because there will be hundreds of people with this exact same tote bag walking around the Seattle Convention Center. So I wanted to personalize mine a little bit. So I added the rat. So ridiculous. And then I added the heart. And then I was like, this rat is a little boring. I want to add some flair. So I added the bows. And the way I did this, I tied some pink embroidery floss in a bow, and then I used hot glue to secure the bows to the rat. And then a problem that I was facing was, since embroidery floss is ultimately 6 strands, it's made up of 6 tiny little strands, and they're not like twisted together, I added fray check on the end of the bows so they would be a cohesive string and look like ribbon and not fray on the edges. So this is cute little accessories. In fact, I'm also thinking maybe I'll add a bow on the butt, but that remains to be decided. So I added the bows, I added the eyes, and I thought, you know what this really needs? My rat on my tote bag? She needs a tote bag of her own. So I ordered iron-on printer paper, and I printed out a miniature flock logo, and I added it. I cut up a Knitting Tours tote bag I had lying around. I added black yarn for the handles, so it pretty closely matches the big flock tote bag. And then I thought, if my bag has a bag charm and my bag charm has a bag, then my bag charm's bag needs a charm. So I added a butterfly stitch marker. So there's the update on my rat bag charm. It's complete and is accessorized, but that's not all. I know that several other people are making bag charms. Like Leslie made a little labubu, a little crocheted labubu. Jackie made a bird. Ella made a gnome. So I've made more miniature flock tote bags. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. So ridiculous. They're not functional. They're literal trash. But right now I have 8 of them. I may make more between now and flock. I may not. Who knows? But at least 8 of them. So if you're going to be at flock and you want a mini flock tote bag for your flock tote bag charm, and you find me, ask me for a bag, who knows? Maybe no one will want them and I'll have them the whole weekend. Maybe everyone will want them and they'll be gone lickety-split. So first come, first served. Very limited quantities for these tiny little parcels of garbage. But that's an update on my rat bag charm and my heart bag charm. Those are super fun projects. Also, I want to add something purple to this. I'm not sure what that will be yet, but I am the purple girl, so this bag needs some purple, maybe like a little hair bow tied on this string or in this strap. So we'll see. We'll see what gets done between now and flock. But as I will tell you shortly, I've got a big daunting task that I'm going to try and tackle before flock, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But those are the updates for those two projects. The next project I have is my Yorlin, and I haven't been working on this a super ton, but I have been consistently working on it bit by bit, like a couple rows a day over the course of this last week. Actually, that cannot possibly be true. I think probably like maybe 5 rows total. Let's count actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rows total over the course of last week. So I guess that's like a row a day, give or take. So I probably didn't work on this every day now that I'm having reality infiltrate my memories. But here's the progress. It is a cardigan. Now, when I first was talking about the Yorlin about a month or so ago, when this was really the hot project on my needles, I was talking about how the yarn seemed so thin and how it felt like I was basically making a fingering weight garment, and I was very much feeling the woe is me, this was supposed to be sport weight yarn and it's actually fingering, and I know it will turn out great, but still this is a lot to bite off and chew, or whatever the colloquialism is. Well, I've been vindicated because I've since gotten a sport weight in the mail and I've swatched it up, and they are definitely different weights of yarn. So when I get to that sport weight, I'll show you the comparison. But this is definitely working up like a fingering weight yarn. It's the Sport Weight Merino from Kerry Woolen Mills, which I purchased in October of 2023. This would be super great if I could finish this before this year's Ireland trip, but we'll see. So the update on the Yorlin is I made 8 rows worth of progress. The next project to update you on is a finished object. Ka-chow! This is a finished Sophie scarf, and the most satisfying thing about making a Sophie scarf, or just any neck scarf that is of this shape, is you can make a little croissant, a little yarn croissant. So cute. Phew! So that's the Sophie scarf. I don't know how I'll ever wear these practically. Like, if I were to make a Sophie scarf that I know I would wear a lot, I would make it longer and maybe skinnier, because this is just, well, maybe not skinnier, but yeah. So all that to say, my Sophie scarf is done. That's a finished object. I'm very happy to have a finished object because my Ravelry projects, like my active whips, have taken over my project view screen to the point where it overwhelms me. Really, the sweet spot for me is to have less than 4 active projects on Ravelry, otherwise I get stressed out. But sometimes I just get into a frenzy and I cast on and I cast on and I cast on, and I don't care how many active projects there are on my Ravelry project page. But then it all comes back to bite me inevitably every time, and I look at the project page and I think, what was I thinking? This is atrocious. This is an atrocity. This must be fixed. So this is no longer an active whip. This is a completed project on my Ravelry project page, which is a huge relief to my pitter-pattering little heart. Next project is, this is exciting. You're going to be excited. So last week in my podcast, I was talking about my bingo page for 2025. And I was talking about how one of the bingo boxes was to knit a pattern from a book. And I was talking about how I was debating whether or not I should buy the Sari Nordland Summer Knits book because I wanted to cast on the Sarah's tee or Sarah's top with a yarn I had coming. And I had totally forgotten that I had a project on the needles that was being worked up from a book. And actually, after I picked this project back up over the course of this last week, someone commented on last week's podcast and said, "What about the Fair Isle project bag? That was from a book, so you could count it." And it was just serendipitous because as they were leaving that comment, I was working on the project they were mentioning. And now it is off the needles, steeked, and blocked. It's my Fair Isle project bag. Look at this. Now, I'm not going to be too rough and tumble with how I handle this project because it is steeked and this is Shetland wool, so it's not really at a huge risk of unraveling, but there are some spots where simply I cut it in the wrong spot at the corrugated ribbing. So this is a little precious here. Like, I'm going to have to sew that down and make sure I secure it really, really well when I do the finishing touches of this project. But let me talk to you a little bit about the construction. But first, I suppose I should tell you exactly where you can find this. This is from the Fair Isle Knitting Book by Karina Olsen. I believe this is originally published in Norwegian, I think, not English. Or maybe it's in Swiss that it's first published, because Karina Olsen is Swedish. So it wouldn't be Swiss, it would be Swedish. Get it together, Rachel. Anyway, this is the book you can find, the pattern, and it is called Small Project Bag. Dun 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 dun. So this pattern, basically, it's knit in the round, and then once you knit the entire thing, it's steeked. So when I was knitting it, it was about this circumference. And how you do it is you cast on with a provisional cast on. So let's say this was where I started. Or no, here. You cast on with a provisional cast on, and then you knit the whole chart. So from here to here is the first section. Then after you do that, you flip it around, you put the provisional cast on stitches onto your needles here, and then you knit the corrugated ribbing, and then you knit the chart again. So it's a mirror image of itself. And then after you have completed the second iteration of the chart on the opposite side you started, then you steek it, meaning you cut open the yarn, the tube you've knit, and now you have a flat piece of fabric. Now, I not only used Shetland wool to make this, but I also used my Shetland Knitting Belt, which, let me grab it and I'll show you because you might be new here from the last time I showed it on the channel. Okay, so here is a Shetland Knitting Belt. It is a leather sheath with holes, 3 rows of holes at different spots on the leather sheath. It's filled with horsehair or Shetland pony hair if you want to convince yourself of that. Not confirmed, but some sort of equine animal. Their hair fills the sheath. And you put this on your body like a belt, and you have the pouch, the sheath portion, off to the side. You then use double-pointed knitting needles to knit. So you have one needle that you stick in here, and then you use it as kind of an anchoring point. It's a really, really fun way to knit. It's a regional technique that was new to me last year, and I learned on a Shetland knitting tour that I went on last July. I'm going to have another Shetland Knitting Belt experience because I'm going to Shetland next April and May on the Scotland Shetland knitting tour I'm hosting. And we have a knitting belt workshop with Jeanette Budge. You get a knitting belt as part of the workshop materials. You get it to keep and take home. So it's a very, very exciting workshop. One of my favorite workshops I've ever had. So I'm excited to do that again. But anyway, this is my second knitting belt project. I also made a hat for DJ shortly after I got home from Shetland last year. And let me tell you, it's hard. It's difficult. Like, I'm really, really happy with this fabric and how it blocked, but also my tension is not perfect. I mean, that would be true any thing I make. Nothing is perfect, but you can kind of see, I don't know, there's room for improvement, let's say. But I'm happy that this is off the needles. It's not a complete project though, because I need to make it into a bag. And basically, I don't really know anything about sewing, but I think based on the very vague instructions for this bag, you kind of fold it so the corrugated ribbing is the base of the bag. And according to the instructions, you're supposed to line it. And I definitely know I need to line this because not only do I want to protect the fabric and the floats, here's the back side, float check, but I also want to make sure that, you know, nothing gets snagged and that it can be as sturdy as possible, because this is not the tightest tension. And I think if I were to do this again, I would probably go down like 2 needle sizes to really cinch it up and tighten it up. But I'm glad that I did this. I'm glad I made it. It looks so good. Like, I'm looking at it in the viewfinder right now, and I'm just really proud of myself because the Shetland Knitting Belt is really different than my standard of knitting, and I'm just glad that I powered through. I'm proud of myself. It's true. But yeah, there you go. Also, I will say there are some other projects that I want to make with this wool. This is Jamieson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight. I have the Roosty Tank, which is a slipover pattern that I'd like to make, and I have yarn that I got last year. I also have the Oregon cardigan, which is not Jamieson & Smith. It's yarn from Virtual Yarns, which is Alice Starmore's brand. But I don't know if I would use the Shetland Knitting Belt for that, or if I would do my standard like circular knitting needle for it. Not sure. But I am so proud of myself. The fabric is really gorgeous. It's just like, I can't believe I made this with my own 2 hands. Isn't that nutso butso? I think it truly is. If you look closely, you can see I messed up. I used the wrong color in the middle of this flower motif on this section. It was supposed to be this lighter purple. Anyway, life goes on. So that's the update on my Fair Isle project bag. The knitting is done. Now all that is left is the sewing. And I know a big fat nothing about that. So of course that's going to go on the back burner until I can muster up the courage to face that obstacle. Okay, let's move on to the next project. So actually, for the next 2 things I need to talk about, I need to go to black and white because as of today, Monday, August 4th, these 2 colors have not been revealed for the upcoming collection from which they will be available. So let's go to black and white and I'll tell you all about them. Okay, so I got 2 yarns in the mail from Lauren of Treehouse Knits, and they are both to promote the Moana collection. This is a pre-order collection that will be available on Sunday, August 17th. Now, these are the 2 yarns that I received. Obviously, you can't see a lot of detail about them because you're seeing this in black and white, but this is one color and this is another color. Okay, great. Now, it doesn't take too much brain power to guess what color or colors they might be. Okay? Hi, my name's Rachel. I received this yarn in the mail. Based on those 2 context clues, you should be able to guess or have an idea of what these 2 colors look like when they are in Technicolor. Okay, I digress. So, this yarn is a sport weight Cormo yarn. This is a limited availability yarn for the Moana collection. Both Lauren from Treehouse and Coley from Paisley Knits are going to be carrying this Cormo sport weight yarn. It's custom spun for them in Wyoming, and I am so grateful that Lauren let me try this yarn out because it is so delicious. As soon as I saw it in skein form, I was sold, but once I caked it up, I was sold again, and once I swatched it up, I was sold thrice. So this is very plump, very juicy, very wonderful to work with. I swatched up a stockinette swatch for the Sarah's top, and I am pretty close to gauge, close enough that I decided, yes, I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to buy the Summer Knits pattern book. So that's what I did. I found a local yarn store. I think it's the Dandelion Company. I think it's somewhere in Minnesota. Dandelion, Minnesota. Not the city, but I'm saying, you know, context clues. Dandelion something located in Minnesota. Anyway, I'm going to cast on the Sarah's top once that book arrives. I am kind of annoyed that it's only available in book form, but when you publish patterns, you can do what you want with them, and that is what Sari Nordland decided. I have no choice but to respect her decision. So, absolutely a dream to work with. If you have been wanting a Cormo Sport, I think this is non-superwash, if I remember correctly. Oh my gosh, it's so nice, it's so soft, it's so juicy, it's so plump. Highly recommend. I'm really, really excited to cast on. And another reason why I'm annoyed that the Sarah's top is only in book form is because it means I have to wait to cast on, because I can't just instantly get the pattern. Like, I can't buy it on Ravelry. I have to wait. I have to pretend I'm living in the 90s. Well, actually, even before well, not even. No, what am I saying? Because I was able to go online and just quickly order it, whereas, you know, I didn't have to look through. It doesn't matter. It's in the past, okay? Anyway, I wish I could cast on immediately because this yarn is so dreamy, but this is my burden to bear and I will be okay. But this is a very, very exciting yarn. And it's a true sport weight. This is, how much is this? I want to say 318 yards per 100 grams. Let me double check. I might be misremembering and thinking of the other base that I have. Okay, so the Cormo Sport is a 3-ply sport weight, non-superwash Cormo wool, 316 yards per 100 grams. It's custom grown and milled in Wyoming for Treehouse Knits. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And when I say it is a true sport weight, let me show you it in comparison to the Kerry Woolen Mills merino that I'm working on my Yorlin with. Do you see the difference between these two? I hope that it's easy to tell in black and white. I'm filming this in color, so I can't tell what it will look like in black and white until I'm editing, but hopefully you can tell that this darker strand, this is the Kerry Woolen Mills merino, and the lighter strand, this is the Cormo. They're quite different, and the Cormo is thicker than the Kerry Woolen Mills. So I think this just confirms my earlier thought that if the Kerry Woolen Mills yarn is a sport, it's a lighter sport. This is a heavier sport, and I think feels more like a sport. Like, it feels like a true middle ground between fingering weight and DK weight yarn, whereas the Kerry Woolen Mills that I'm making my Yorlin on feels like a fingering. Okay, there we go. Now, here's the other base that Lauren sent me. This is the Cotton Air Worsted, which is a chained yarn. So what this yarn is constructed like, maybe you can see, I hope. Not very easy to focus. So you may notice that there are light sections and there are darker sections. The light section is a tube. It's like basically an I-cord. It's a chained cotton yarn. And then the fuzzy part, the darker part, this is merino that's blown through the chain. So it creates a yarn that is simultaneously structured and also has halo. So the core is already worked up fiber, a chained fiber. Here's my swatch. I originally was thinking that I would make the Ridgeline Vest, which is a new pattern by Woolen Pine Designs, but I just simply was having trouble with it. I didn't meet gauge, and I calculated this swatch's gauge to cast on the size I would need, and it was still way, 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 way too big, and I was making like what should be a size 38-inch bust, but with my gauge it would be like 52, but it just like it was all wrong. It was causing me a lot of heartache, a lot of grief, so I decided to pivot, and I was looking at my swatch and I was thinking, woo, that would be a really, really nice like chunky ribbed scarf. So I kind of played around with a few different things. I tried brioche, I tried mistake rib. None of them were really speaking to me, so this yarn is causing me a little bit of confusion. I'm not sure if I should try a garment again or if I should lean into the scarf idea, because I think this would be a really, really beautiful and fun scarf hat set, but also it would be fun. It'd be a fun garment. So I just am not sure. I'm not sure, but I really love how the swatch looks. It's so pretty. I love the dimension because it basically looks like a marling, because the chainette core is lighter and then the merino that's blown through it is darker, so it just inherently has this really nice structure and dimension. Now, of course, none of this is going to be 100% translated to you because you're seeing that in black and white. But just trust me on this. Both of these yarns are really, really beautiful and delicious to work with. So I definitely recommend the Cormo Sport. This one, I am having trouble landing a project, but I still recommend it because it's just super fun to work with. Let's see. What other I think that's all for projects. Oh, no, it's not. I have one more project to tell you about, and this is the daunting task that I've been alluding to, which is when I'm trying on clothes and like trying to conceptualize what I want to wear at Flock, I feel lots of pressure to wear hand knits. I also feel lots of pressure to wear purple hand knits. And this is not pressure that anyone has placed on me. This is I'm being my own worst enemy here. Okay, so, you know, just let me ride this wave. So I've decided, I think I'm going to try to make a ranunculus. And I was looking at my stash and thinking what yarn spoke to me, and Creator of Beauty, which is this, oh, I should say, we're back to color, by the way. Okay, back to color. Creator of Beauty, which is a light purple color from the Cabin collection, which is a collaborative collection I did with Cesium Yarn, inspired by my family cabin. Creator of Beauty specifically, one of my favorite colors of all time, inspired by my grandmother. And I just thought, what if I had a Creator of Beauty ranunculus to wear on Sunday at Flock? So I'm going to try and do it from start to finish. Today's Monday. I feel like I could get the yoke done tonight because time isn't real. I don't need to sleep. Who needs that? Not me. So I could do that Monday. I could get the body done Tuesday, and the sleeves are basically done because the yoke is basically the sleeves. So yes, I do believe it's possible. I leave Thursday morning. Worst case scenario, I spend a few days working on a project I really enjoy with yarn that I adore. I feel like there's no possible lose in this situation. I think it's a win-win. Maybe not win, but certainly no losing is possible, right? This is my thought. Don't tell me that I've lost touch with reality, because I already know that. Thank you. Anyway, that's it for project updates. Now let's move on to Spin Diary. I've got nothing for you. Grab your stuff, head back to camp. Next we have acquisitions. I already showed you that. Black and white for a second. I've got the yarn from Lauren in the Cormo Sport and the yarn from Lauren in the Cotton Air Worsted. Back to color. And that's it for acquisitions. Now let's move on to announcements. I didn't mean to wrap it up so quickly, but now that I've spoken about my ranunculus plans, I'm feeling like I need to wrap this up so I can get going on that. I hope you understand. So, announcements. I'm going to tell you another capacity update for the 2026 knitting tours. Some things have updated since last week. Things are moving. People are signing up. So, as always, I will tell you, if you have your eye on a knitting tour, don't wait to sign up, because all the spots could go in a day. It could take a few weeks. It could take a few months. There's no way to know. So if you want a guaranteed spot, the best way to do it is to sign up sooner rather than later. So with that said, here are the spots available for 2026. I have 9 spots available on the Irish Knitting Tour. Of those 9 spots, only 6 of them are for knitters. We have a maximum of 25 people in the knitting category of participant, because the knitting workshops have a 25-person cap. However, on the tour in general, we have a 29-person cap for that one. So therefore, we can have 9 more people, but only 6 of them can be knitters. So for this one, we start in Dublin, we go to Crafts of Ireland, we go to Blarney Castle, we go to the last 2 vertical woolen mills in Ireland. A vertical woolen mill refers to the fact that they dye the yarn, they spin the yarn, they card the yarn, they process everything about the wool to make it a final product, whether it is a textile or a yarn. They do all of that in-house. So the last 2 vertical woolen mills in Ireland are Cushendale Woolen Mills and Kerry Woolen Mills. They're both multi-generational family-owned businesses. We visit both of them on the Irish Knitting Tour. It's a fabulous time. What else do? We go to Lyrith Estate Hotel, which is a 5-star hotel. We spend 2 nights there. It's in the countryside around Kilkenny. It's gorgeous. We go to the Nicholas Moss Pottery Studio. I am going to get a fuchsia piece of ceramic. That's my yearly tradition. I haven't decided exactly which one I'll get this year, but I'm looking at picture frame, teapot, clock, or another vase. We'll see. Also a pitcher. All these things are on my radar. So the Irish Knitting Tour, absolutely such a special trip. 9 spots available, up to 6 knitters, and that trip takes place from October 5th through 14th of 2026. The other tour that I have space on is the Knit the Wild Atlantic Way tour, which is also Ireland focused, but instead of going to the south of Ireland, we start in Dublin and then make our way into Northern Ireland. So for this, you can technically cross off 2 different countries for your bucket list of countries you've visited. We'll go to Dublin, we'll go to Belfast, we go up to different sheep farms, including having a shepherding demonstration, so you get to hold a lamb maybe, you'll get to pretend you're a sheepdog. Not really, you'll get to work alongside the sheepdogs to herd the sheep. We also go to Crafts of Ireland on that trip. We stay 2 nights in Cabra Castle and 3 nights at a 5-star resort. Very exciting. So that trip has 5 spots available. They can be knitters or non-knitters. So if you want to come and you want to bring your partner or your loved one or your friend and they don't share your love of fiber arts, they're still more than welcome. And there will be other non-knitters there to keep them company. So that's going to be a really exciting one. That takes place from May 11th through 20th, 2026. And I have to tell you also about that one. I'm so excited that we're going to sheep farms in the spring, because you know what happens in the spring? Babbies are born. So I'm very excited to see all the new baby lambs up close and personal, because when we were in Scotland from mid-May to early June and we were zipping down the road, out the window we saw so many baby sheep and cows, but we didn't get up close and personal with them because we didn't have sheep farm on the itinerary. Whereas these tours, the Knit the Wild Atlantic Way, in May of next year, we are going specifically to sheep farms, and I'm so excited to see babies. So that's it. Those are the spots. If you want to grab 1 or more spots, head to the link in the video description, and I can't wait to go to Ireland with you. It's going to be so much fun. That's it for announcements, though. I guess I should sign off with something inspirational or motivational. But as I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm in a tizzy today. Tizzies happen. So it's okay. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.